How do you get 100 math teachers in a room that only fits 99?
We're just diving right in, aren't we?
That's what we call it. Cold open right
teachers,
there.
How do you get 100 math teachers into a room that only fits 99? You carry the one.
Anthony.
Oh my God.
I wanted to get that in first. What you got, Chris?
Yeah, just threw it out there. Well, it's hot here in Colorado, and I have to wear a lot of sunscreen, so it started getting me thinking. You know why bananas have to wear a sunscreen, right?
Why?
Because they don't peel.
So they don't peel. That's a very unappealing joke, Chris.
Oh, touche! You just triple stand my double stand. You just triple stand my double stand.
I couldn't think of a joke to come up with today. I've been hanging out with my parents a lot, so I have a bunch of jokes about retired people, but none of them work.
All right, and that's the show, folks. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Sorry. Maybe next time, just tune in like 5 minutes into it.
And thin and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema.
Hard reset.
Silly moods today.
Wow, I do think the heat's getting to us. Hey, Anthony, Stephanie, good morning. You're looking terrific. What if the idea you love most is the one that's draining your business? Ben Kaufman's quirky turned community inventions into real gadgets, then filed for bankruptcy in 2015 after the factory outran demand. Idea triage isn't taste, it's survival math. Today, on How to Founder, we're going to be talking about when to kill your darlings. I don't know why you're talking about death, Anthony. Your AI is very dark. It's morbid. Idea triage and the hard founder work.
I modeled it after Stephanie's voice, so sorry.
That makes a lot of sense. Triage, the hard work of sorting promising ideas from expensive attachments. I'm your host, Chris Franks. With me, Anthony Franco, Stephanie Hayes. Let's dive into it. What is this idea? Do you guys come up with ideas? You don't have any new ideas, do you?
I'm gonna be the contrarian this whole episode. So
that's nothing. So tell us something we don't
know. I'm gonna fight this whole idea of idea triage.
Okay, and like, what if my question is? I don't know that the question is what if the idea you love most? It's like, what if you love every idea most?
That is a way bigger problem, I think. Than
the scary one is, what if your most recent idea is the one you love most?
Most recent idea.
You're always like coming up with the next idea, and you're like, oh, and the rest of the things that you started just fall. Like that's the problem.
That's
right.
The problem. All right.
It's like, oh no, this one's new, so therefore it's exciting. So I've got to kind of deprioritize the other thing that I was excited about.
This is your answer.
Yes,
ADHD.
ADHD. So this question should be, how do you have idea discipline? Not the other way around. Not how do you go this? All right. I want to start, and I want to take you guys back to a place when you were starting. Maybe it's not your first company, but you're in that place where you're really committed to starting a company, and you've got a rough idea, but you're trying to figure out specifically what is the best approach. This is what I call the big room problem, because everywhere you turn, there seems to be opportunity, and you don't know which direction to walk. It's a big room. How do you start to think through that? First of all, have you had that experience, Anthony and Stephanie? I think we all have to some capacity.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, keep going, Chris. Keep hosting like you're hosting. We're just here to fill in the silent gaps.
Yeah, my shoulder's getting tired from carrying you guys. right. So I think that there's for early stage founders, this is a incredibly nefarious problem because the moment you decide like, hey, I want to go start a company, there's a fear that starts to set in, which is, do I have the right approach, the right idea, et cetera? And because you go hang out with other founders, everybody's going to say, oh, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? What if you tried this? Oh, that's exciting if you would do this. And so you start to get this a little bit of a whiplash when it comes to ideas. First of all, have you had that experience? I think we all have. So, Anthony, tell me a time
Well, I mean,
you had that kind of experience.
I don't need other people to make that a problem for me. I do it completely fine all on my own. And usually I think other people's ideas are stupid. So it's like, I have too many voices in my head as it is. I don't need a 15th one. Thank you very much. So,
got it. So no mentorship needed there. You just have
not at all.
Oh my
no, thank
God.
you.
Yeah, jeez. You might want to get that checked.
Sorry.
Stephanie, what do you think?
I would say that this has only been a problem for me for the last like 50 years. It just really. I'm turning 51 next month, so
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is something that evolves, right? And I think initially it's about fear of missing out, fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of not taking that next opportunity because you're surrounded by people who are having these big wins and all of a sudden, they had this one idea. And what if that one idea was that idea? And I think then it evolves from that being the problem to it being like, I have this freedom to do anything and I or anything. And this is fun, right? This is fun for me, but the execution is quite often what trips us up, right? We get excited about one idea and then we don't finish it, right? Then we get excited about something else. And sometimes it's not even excitement. Sometimes it's like our company's not doing so well. And I feel the pressure to find that next angle, right?
I think it's such a big part of this conversation. I think it's funny because we're talking about when do you kill your idea. I think that what's really challenging here is this concept of idea discipline. For the vast majority of founders, we all follow the same mold that ideas come easy. They're constant. I just had 6 ideas since I've been in this podcast. One of those is $1 billion business, I'm sure. But one of the things that we learn along the way is that ideas are cheap. Execution is the thing that makes a difference within businesses. And so, again, early stage founders, Anthony, how do I start to really hone in on an idea? I think it's probably the heart of this conversation.
I was sitting in, Launch.co, the guy Jason from All In Podcast runs a accelerator, and I got invited to a startup tune-up this last couple of days, and listening to a lot of the founders talk, and he had a little pitch event and everything. And look, I think what was common is, especially in early stage companies, we're afraid to pick an idea because we haven't established product market fit yet. So it's like we want to be in business. I very rarely found a founder that's like, I'm going to run this idea into the ground, whether it's the right one or not. It happens, but it's rare. The more often thing that's happening, which I think is the healthy thing, is that it's not even about a problem that I want to solve. It's an area I want to focus on. And I can tackle that problem in that area in 10 different ways. And I'm going to try 10 of them out until I land on the one that has the most traction. Is that better, or is it better to like pick an idea, pick a problem, solve the problem? I don't know. I think I think it's wherever you're going to get luckiest. Whatever has the most luck surface area is the thing that you chase.
Stephanie, what do you think?
Or the most comfort, right? I come from a little bit of a different perspective because there's a real tension here between execution and innovation, right? And as founders, we're sort of tagged as the people who innovate and the ones who discover and explore and find the new next best thing, right? And I did all my post-grad work in innovation management, so I have a little bit of a bias here. But there needs to be a little bit of a balance of creativity and innovation and exploration that helps us really get to the next big thing. And it sounds counterintuitive, but you actually have to manage innovation, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about is like there's a whole back end to all of this, which is the container for ideas and giving yourself a place where those can be explored. And a lot of founders, like they need to be constantly in that exploration place because that's where that's where they work best, right? And so how do you build the rest of the infrastructure within the business to be able to harness that and not let it take down the rest of your operations, right? So it's really building this place to incubate and explore ideas while having your execution continue on. And it's a very mature way to build a little startup. It's not typically what happens, but if you know all of the innovation literature, you actually manage innovation and you can manage innovation, but you've got to balance it out with helping the business sort of move along and in whatever it is that you're committing to. Problem is you don't commit to it.
So I think that for those of us that have done this a few times, we're very comfortable with saying, hey, here's the problem we're trying to solve. We don't really quite know what we're doing yet. We have an early plan of how we're going to get there. We know that some of our assumptions are going to be wrong. In other words, we're more comfortable living in ambiguity of an early stage startup. For early stage founders, I see this constantly where they focus so much on the execution and the details, and they build infrastructure and processes and technical solutions for things, for problems that they're not entirely sure that is the right problem to solve or the way that they're going to solve that problem. And so there's a underlying question here, which is, to what capacity do I need to be sure that what I'm doing is correct, my idea is correct, versus just going and working to solve the problem? Do I just go and try to start the work?
But I think that's the problem, is you're looking for the idea to be correct. And I don't really think there is an idea that's correct. It's how easily or how quickly can you actually make this happen? And I still maintain you can sell anything to anybody with the right messaging and the right positioning and the right external conditions and all of that, right? So it's really not about.
I mean, we're living proof of that. We have subscribers to our podcast.
But it's like you're rather than focusing on is this the right idea. I mean, we need to. I think this is just sort of a habit I've created. But as soon as I think something, I dive right into how quickly can I prove whether this can happen? How quickly can I immerse myself in this idea because the devil's in the details, right? It's when you get into, there's some weird regulation or there's some thing you didn't think of, right? So how quickly can I actually put this MVP into action to prove whether this is A, something I even want to do, B, how hard it's going to be, C, if there's an opening. Like, you just have to do the work really quickly to sort of get there.
I'm torn on this, Chris. I go two different directions at the same time, which is a lot fewer than I normally do. So here's the two things I'd like us to pull at. One idea, option number one is optionality, and I did this at MC Squares, where I built a factory that allowed us to launch a product in 24 hours profitably. So we built the foundation of the company to be able to spit out ideas, and the thought process there, and I still think it's the right one. 70% of all consumer products fail. So either you do more homework up front on launching products, or you launch a lot of products and you see which one works. The flip side to that, and I still think that works for the most part, but there's this other notion that a thing takes time to ferment. An idea or a product needs the time to properly mature into a legit offering and traction and authority. And if you can't do both, you can't jump around from one thing to another and have anything get mature, but you increase your surface area of something, making it big quick, or focus on one thing. And what happens 2 years later when it doesn't land? I think it's just, I think it both work. So I wouldn't know where to steer somebody here. It could be one for one thing and something else for and the other for somebody else. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that it depends on the life cycle. Like, this is a very different thing when we're talking about consumer products versus, a new pharmaceutical drug, right? Like, when there is a product that's going to require years of investment to figure out, right?
That is 70% of our audience is pharmaceutical execs. So I think we do need to chase that audience down a little bit harder.
Right. But you have to admit that there are things, like, especially services, right? There are things that will take a long time to develop, right? And so that would require a different model. But I sort of come back to, like, rather than build the product, just go have some conversations, right? Like, I think about something, the first thing I'm doing is talking to people in the industry, talking to partners, talking to, like, what would you do with this, right? And if you get a bunch of buy-in that's like, oh shit, I'll partner with you on that, or this makes a lot of sense, then that would be my first gate, right? Like, before I build anything or try out, I would just be having conversations, and conversations are free, right?
I think that what we're touching on is actually really, really important, because we're hitting on something that is a pervasive startup myth. And the startup myth is the brilliant idea myth. Oh, I have this mind-boggling idea. I'm going to organize the internet. I'm going to create a social network where people are going to talk. I've got this incredible, I'm going to create an online bookstore that becomes the online everything store. Oh, it's this brilliant once-in-a-lifetime idea. And behind that idea is dollar signs. It's just incredible. Every company I just described was not the person that popped into your head. Mark Zuckerberg did not create social networking. He copied Friendster. Amazon was one of a million different online stores, e-commerce stores. There's no such thing as the brilliant idea that just lightning strikes, whereby suddenly your genius idea just immediately pops into the world and becomes $1 billion company. That's a myth, and that's real. I still hear that. I still have founders that say, oh, I've got this incredible idea, et cetera. And I think that the truth is, and I think that this is kind of the heart of this conversation, is as you wade through this world of uncertainty, your idea really probably isn't that much important, because to your point, Stephanie, you can make almost any business work. If you have customers that want to buy something, you can make it work. How you make that work and whether it's profitable, that's about the execution component. And so in this idea, there's and again, Anthony, I go back to the question, this world of uncertainty that you live in, when you say, hey, I'm thinking of this problem, or I'm thinking this opportunity, or even thinking this market, That's a weird kind of bit of uncertainty, isn't it? And then how do you start to process the ideas that'll pop into your head as you're starting to solve that problem, thinking about solving that problem?
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. And I think that's valuable though. I don't think I'm alone here. I don't think anybody has the answer. I don't think anybody has the answer on whether or not you focus. I mean, we're told focus is king, but is it? But focus on the wrong thing can not just kill your company, but can kill you personally. So is it focus, or is it? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's you haven't figured it out yet. So you need to try all kinds of things until you land on the thing. But if you spend too much, I just think it goes back and forth. I don't know the answer. It's a gut thing. It's a taste thing. It's an intuition thing that there is no formula for it.
Stephanie,
I'm struggling. Obviously, I'm struggling with this. So I can use.
Stephanie is going to give us order out of chaos. I think that on the other side, the original part of this conversation was not about how you come up with these ideas. It is about when to stop working on an idea. When do you
talk about that?
Yeah, but hang on for a second.
It's sort of part and parcel of the same thing, right?
Yeah, but there's a very nefarious thing called sunk cost fallacy, which sunk cost fallacy is incredibly real, and it's across almost every single domain.
Totally guilty of it,
right? And the sunk cost fallacy is when you continue working on something that you know or you think is not going to actually work. How do you personally think about the sunk cost fallacy, and how do you start to examine, oh, this idea, even if I've worked on it for 6 months, even if I worked on it for a year, this thing is not going to work?
It's the analogy that pops in my head is I don't remember who said it. It was a comedian that said it, talking about golf. So you find yourself in a terrible situation where you're behind a tree and you basically have to hit this magic shot out of where you're at. Instead of playing it safe, you're going to hit this magic shot towards the green. And what you don't think about is, well, you were the golfer that put yourself here in the first place. So what makes you think you're the golfer that can get yourself out of it?
Yeah, I mean, I constantly have that problem. Stephanie, tell me about the sunk cost fallacy. How do you think about it?
Okay, so there is a whole body of academic literature about how we manage innovation, right? And I just happen to come from that world. In a large organization where I've put innovation programs in place, like you can build these structures whereby you're dealing with all of this stuff, right? You have gates and you have evaluation in terms of like, where's this idea right now? What have we learned from it? Like you put those measures and metrics in place. Obviously no startup or small business is going to implement that level of rigor, but the concepts are the same. And what I've learned with working with these small business owners is that they need to have ideas. They need to be constantly thinking about new things. And it gets worse when they are in fear or there's pressure on the business. And so what we've built inside those businesses is an understanding that there is, because what can happen there is that they actually tank the whole business because they drag everybody down into their next big idea, which there is a reaction to fear, right? So for those sort of creative types or those founders or whoever it is in the business that needs to be constantly seeking out new ideas, we give them a playground, right? We give them a place to play, and we say to them, go and do your thing and spin around and figure out if this is something and like do your next piece of creative development for the organization, but you don't get the team to support you. You might have a little bit here and there, but until you've gotten to this point where you have proven that this thing, whether you have conversations with people or you put something out there or whatever it is, until that idea has reached a point that we have some assurance that it's the thing, the next thing, then we move it through to something where it gets production support.
The picture I get when you talk about big companies have an innovation process is a 60-year-old guy with a fake tan and a Hawaiian shirt hanging around spring break parties.
Why are you looking at me when you say that, Anthony?
It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit for me. Companies
you're not the
acquire
audience.
innovative companies. They don't. You can't have a skunk works in a big company.
You can. Yes,
No,
you
it just
can.
doesn't. It doesn't work. You can't process
built
engineer
it.
innovation.
I built it.
I love
But
that
here's
you
what
guys are
happens
yelling
if you
at each
just
other.
go, if you go start up inside of a big
I
corporation.
don't believe it. I don't believe it.
All right. That's your
I don't
prerogative
believe
to
it.
not believe it. But
Kids, hold on.
you are never going to work inside of a big
For
corporation.
those of you watching, like, hey, kids.
I mean, can the guy at spring break actually get a date? Maybe, it could happen, but on the whole, it's not likely, and it just is creepy. So I think it's the same
You
thing.
have made it creepy. You made it creepy.
It's not the first time I've been told that, Steph.
I just want to go ahead and just recap for those of you just joining us. Anthony and Stephanie are now arguing about creepy old men on spring break, which has really nothing
Which has everything to do with
all.
innovation. Christopher has been back on track.
Sorry, I took us off track.
Oh man!
No, I was going to. Do you know that you can get a brain transplant right now? Like, somebody in freaking Mexico or Poland or something is like saying you can get a brain transplant. I was so close to doing it, and then I changed my mind.
We're back on dad jokes again.
This was a palate cleanser. Let's get back
Was it the palate cleanser?
All right. So we left off before some very strange left turn about innovation in large companies. We started talking about the idea of sunk cost fallacy, and there's two problems. Number one is that people carry ideas too long, and then the second is people pivot of ideas too quickly. And somewhere in between those things is the actual way to figure out whether your startup or your idea is going to work. How do we do that work? Stephanie, you said first thing we got to do is go talk to human beings. Anthony,
I agree with that.
Mechanically, how do you do that? I start with a whiteboard. I write the hypothesis out. How do you do it?
You have to stop looking at your shoes when you're talking and look at the person when you're talking to them.
Eyes up here.
Eyes up here. Eyes up here. Yeah, you need to have genuine conversations. Ask a lot of questions. Let people talk. The common mistake when you're talking about your idea is to sell your idea to the person you're talking to, which is only going to get them to not share with you how they really feel about it. That's all it's going to do. You have to ask them about the pain that they're experiencing and what's it worth for them to solve it. What are the tools that they're using now? What are the services that they're using now? You have to be intellectually curious about the person that you think you want to serve, and intellectually curious about whether, like, you have to start with the premise that you're wrong, because you probably are, and try to prove yourself wrong rather than trying to prove yourself right. And that can only be done with conversations with customers that you think are the right customers. Just because you're talking to somebody that says it's not their problem doesn't mean you're not solving the right problem. You're just not maybe talking to the right person. Or maybe they're going to uncover something for you that you hadn't thought of, or a way of, or somebody else that's doing it better and it's not even worthwhile. Or the other thing that you need to uncover is, how the hell do I get in front of 1,000 people like this? So great, I have a great idea. I am solving a great problem, but how am I going to reach this person through the noise? All of those things are things that you can uncover in conversations. Nothing beats it. Don't do surveys. Don't try to do landing pages and do paid ads to see where people are navigating. Have the conversation.
Because you can have an idea and 1 second later go and have a conversation, right? Like, it's the most immediate. But I would argue here that I'm not having conversations with potential clients. I'm having conversation, like I will go directly to someone who already works with the clients, the people that I want to reach, and has done all the work in understanding the market. And I would say, would you partner with me on this if that was an opportunity? And if they're like, you're cute, but maybe not, then that's a good answer. If they're like, actually, yes, then I'm on to my next stage. But that's the whole point, is like there are stages to idea development. And on the sunk cost fallacy, you have to decide that how much is too much, right? If by the time you've gotten to a considerable amount of investment without doing any sort of these questions, right? And these can be very easy. They don't have to be the guy in his Hawaiian shirt level of framework. It's just like asking yourself a good question all along the way. Then I decide I'm moving on to the next phase of my own little informal framework, right? But the conversations with partners, people who would partner with you, I think are more valuable, because a customer's not going to know, and that's just one of them, right? Customer's not going to know how to give you the answer that you need right now. And you can also convince yourself that a customer needs the thing you think you're going to buy just by being a good conversationalist, right? But go talk to somebody who's already in the industry, and it's their job to know that industry. It's their job to know that market, and they're going to give you feedback at scale, right?
The framework that I've used and taught is a new business is a hypothesis. It is something you're saying where I believe this to be true. Now, for this hypothesis to be true, three things have to be true. And I want to write down each one of those things. I put them on a sticky note on a whiteboard. And so I say, if, for instance, I believe I can bring innovative intellectual property out of colleges and universities and develop them into medical products at speed, much more capital efficiently and much faster than most startups do, which is the core hypothesis of Proptix. I write that down and then said, what needs to be true for my business to work? And then in each one of those sticky notes, that's the conversations I go have. I go try to create data points around each one of the things that needs to be true. And so everything you guys are saying is correct. I think it's just how to break down this work. I think for founders, they get overwhelmed. They'll go have conversations. Somebody will say something and it'll kind of put them on a different direction, et cetera. My advice to those founders is to get very, very specific about what it is that you're trying to prove or disprove. And then the second piece, and this is really, really important, I want to touch on it with both of you before we go to the speed round, which is we're not the best at stopping things. And part of it's sunk cost, but part of it is this wild, ambitious optimism that we can make things work. And so I think the first thing is to try to say, hey, what's true, what's not true. But secondarily, if I were starting a company today and I have a limited amount of savings and I have a limited amount of time to go do this, how would you counsel me about when to kill an idea or when to persevere, when to push through or when to quit? Anthony.
I can't give you advice on when to kill an idea. It's impossible advice. There is no metric that I have come up with, and I've tried. This is a concept I've been tortured over for the last 15 years. I can't tell you when. It's impossible. I would say that there is a point at which we talked to this founder together, Chris, at 2 years ago at a Denver Startup Week, where he was like, well, I'm going to put a mortgage on my house and give this thing another 6 months. That's at the point where you're like, dude, take a beat. You may be right, but I think you're rushing into this a little bit. So when to kill an idea is when you've asked everybody in your inner circle, which, side note, you need an inner circle of founders to push up against you and to work with on things like this. But it's when all the data and all of the people around you are telling you this is not going to work. And even still, is that the right time? I don't know. I can't solve this is one of those problems that I'm going to ask God about when I'm gone, because I've never been able to come up with the answer.
Stephanie?
I'm going to say that it's when you no longer have optimism, like when everything feels like friction, right?
You nailed it, Steph. When you've lost it. That is sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that is absolutely true. Yeah.
Because you might be very convicted about something and really see the path there that no one else can see. And that's great. Like, go for it, right? Because like I said, you can tell anything to anybody if you get your messaging right and your positioning and the timing and all that shit, right? So there's no right or wrong answers. It's like, it's all going to be a function of how much you believe in it and how much you put into it, right? So the moment you start feeling like there's friction in investing in this idea and continuing on, you could have 10 conversations with people in your inner circle and they all say, I don't get it. Yet you still believe, right? But the moment that you feel like it's a drag, right? Or that you don't believe you can do it anymore, and be careful there, because you could have 5 great conversations and 5 shitty conversations, and all they are is data.
Yeah.
And it's really tempting to go into a conversation and someone's like, yeah, man, this is amazing. You're like, yeah, let's keep going. And the next person is like, have you thought about this? And there's this other angle. And you're like, no, but this person over here was excited about it. So I should, so it's really easy to get swung. Just remember they're all data points, but you have to come back to, like, do I believe this? Like, can I see the path through?
Maybe there's another angle to that, Steph, and that is, you're doing it because you can't think of the other thing that you should be doing. It's like, I don't know what to do other than this. And you're doing it to delay the hard decision because you don't have the answer for what the thing is that you should be working on.
Yeah, actually that happens a lot, right? The perseverance on
I've been there.
Because you don't know what the other path is. Yeah. In that case, it's not that you should stop. It's that you should start having different conversations. And instead of investing in continuing development along whatever path you're on, stop and have a bunch of conversations.
I feel a lot better now. This feels like it's a little bit more solved for me. Thank you.
I think it's
voice.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, we can have a therapy session for you, Anthony. Also, when you say the word convicted, Anthony, just as a small moment.
I saw that. Yeah, he had a little tick going on there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was excitement, actually. Let me get back in there.
I was just saying, don't say the word convicted. It's 3 times accused, only twice convicted. Though
he looks upon those years with fondness.
I think that there's one other aspect here, which is, and the reason why, Anthony, I think that you were correct in saying that you can't answer this question for anybody else. It's true because everybody has a different personal risk profile. Everybody has different risks. Some kids, if you're 22 and you're living on $300 a month, you could always just go drive Uber, right? If you have a family and a mortgage, there's other kind of aspects there. So it is individual. However, we as founders, we tend to lie to ourselves. And so we got to be careful. You got to maybe write that thing down. Like, hey, if I have not gotten X amount of traction within 3 months, I'm going to have a hard conversation with my friends or advisors or whatever else. All right.
Can I say one last thing that just sort of came to me is, like, one of the most important pieces is, what was the source of the idea? Did you come to this idea because you'd worked with as a consultant? This is where we have a bit of an advantage, that we get to work with so many different clients in so many different positions. Did you come to this idea because you recognized already that there was a huge opportunity in the market? Or did you come to this idea because you thought, wouldn't that be neat? Right. So there's a real, I think the source of your idea is important. And if you know that it's coming from a place where you already know and you are very, very certain that there's a problem to solve, you may just not know how to solve it yet. I would be more inclined to keep going on that path than if this was just like, oh, wouldn't it be neat, right? I have a particular skill set and I could make that skill set do something, but I'm completely missing what that market actually needs.
So what you're saying is that occasionally you need to pivot.
Pivot! Pivot! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Occasionally.
Hadn't played that one in a while. All right, let's get into the speed round. I'll start with Stephanie and then go to you, Anthony, starting with gut or data when idea still feels right. What do you rely on?
Gut.
Kill at first weak signal or wait for a pattern?
What was the question?
Kill the idea at the first really weak signal or wait for a pattern?
Wait for a pattern.
Agreed.
Great question. Customer silence or polite praise? Which kills an idea faster for you?
Customer silence.
Polite praise.
One flagship bet or 3 small experiments?
3 small experiments.
I agree. 3 small experiments.
Wow, you guys are agreeing too much lately. Except for
He wants to be
Abel.
like me. He knows.
Yeah,
he knows how.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Deep dive resources. My friend, the guy I've met him, Steve Blank. 4 Steps to the Epiphany by Steve Blank. Terrific book. I highly recommend it. And Testing Business Ideas. I've not read this one. David J. Bland and Alexander Osterwalder.
He's the founder of
Let's
Strategizer. He is half Canadian and half Swiss. I almost worked for them.
Oh, really? Very good. So, Alexander, if you're listening, thanks, man.
Well, we're taking a couple weeks summer break, so we're taking some time off from the How to Founder podcast. So we'll see y'all after July 4th on July 7th, where we're going to be talking about optionality and expanding your Lux surface area. I'm looking forward to that conversation. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to visit us at howtofounder.com. You're listening to us now. Go hit that subscribe and that like button for us. Leave us a great review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. We appreciate you. You, our audience, are the pioneer of economic prosperity. And Chris, Stephanie, and I are just really grateful to be here along the way with you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Steph. Bye.
It's almost as if you have no business training at all.